Hello and welcome to today's lesson. We're going to be doing Module 13, Exponents and Polynomials. One of the first things we're going to do is simplify an expression by combining like terms. So when we combine like terms, what we'll do is we will look for variables that have the same variable. For example, here in this first one we have 7r and we have a minus 3r. We could collect those and say 7r minus 3r would be 4r. And then we'll take a look at the other variables. We have p's, minus 4p and plus 28p. So minus 4 and a plus 28, that would be a plus 24p. Okay, so 4r plus 24p. Let's take a look at number 2. Combine like terms. Now number 2, a little bit more complicated. Notice the parentheses, right? And we have the minus sign in front of the parentheses. We have two sets of those. So that means we're going to have to distribute this minus sign into our parentheses. And so if we do that, we'll have I'm going to rewrite the first side, 9 plus 3t. Distribute the minus into the first set of parentheses. So I have minus 3t and then minus 8. Let's go with the second group of parentheses and distribute the minus in here. So we have minus 4t and then minus 9. Okay, from here we could combine like terms. So we notice we have a plus 3t and a minus 3t. You cancel them out. We have a 9 and a minus 9. We can cancel them out. So all we're left with is negative 4t and minus 8. Okay. Classify, it says number 3, classify the polynomial as a monomial, binomial, trinomial, or none of these. Okay, so let's first of all talk about what those terms mean. Right? So in the first problem, when we solved it, we noticed we had two terms, and they were separated by a plus sign. Okay, so this was a binomial. Okay, same with number 2. We had two terms. They were separated by a minus sign. Okay, so again, this was also a binomial. In number 3, notice we have how many terms? We have 3 terms, and they are separated by a minus sign and a plus sign. Okay, so this would be a trinomial. Monomial, it would be for a single term. So if you had, let's say, some typical monomials, we could have x, we could have negative 3, you could have 5x to the 4th. Right? There's no other terms next to them separating them with plus or minus signs. Okay, next it says the degree of the polynomial is, so the degree is the highest exponent on any one of the terms. So if we look at the highest exponent here, we notice the 2, right, on the x. The x in the middle, that only has an invisible 1 if we wanted to put an exponent to it. And 25, there's no variable to it, it's just a constant. Okay, so the degree for 25 will be 0. Okay, so the highest degree on any one of the terms is a 2. So this would be 2. Okay, 4 says evaluate the polynomial for x equals -3. Okay, so this means what we're going to do is plug in -3 into our expression, and then we simplify as much as possible. Okay, so let's write that down. I'm going to write 2. Everywhere we see an x, we're going to replace it with -3. Okay, so open up parentheses when you're doing this. So we have 2 parenthesis -3 squared minus 3 parenthesis -3 plus 5. Okay, simplify it. -3 squared, so this is PEMDAS now, right? Exponents first. -3 squared will be a +9. Here we have think of it like it's -3 times -3. So a negative times a negative would be positive. So plus 3 times 3 is 9, plus 5. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 9 plus 5. 18 plus 9 is 27, plus 5 is 32. So that would be the final answer, 32. Okay, let's take a look at 5. Evaluate the polynomial when x equals -2 and for x equals 2. So they want us to do this twice. Okay, so let's do when x is -2. So -3, plug in -2 cubed plus 7 times -2 squared. Okay, again, we're going to do the exponents first. So -2 cubed would be -8. -2 squared would be 4. So we have -3 times -8 is +24, plus 7 times 4 is 28. 24 plus 28 would be 52. So 52. Okay, for the second part of it, when x equals 2, plug in 2 into our equation. And now remember to evaluate the exponents first. So 2 cubed is 8. 2 squared is 4. -3 times 8 is -24. 7 times 4 is 28. -24 plus 28 would be a +4. Okay, so +4. Okay, let's take a look at our next page, subtraction. Anytime we subtract with polynomials, we need to remember to distribute the minus into the second part of the expression, right? This minus has to distribute into the second expression. First part stays the same. So when you go to write out your steps, you could remove the parentheses on the first side, on the first part. When you go to do the second part, remember to distribute the minus sign. So we have minus 4x squared. And basically when you distribute the minus sign, whatever is positive turns negative, whatever is negative turns positive. Okay, so if you see plus signs, you'll replace them with minus signs. If you see minus signs, you'll replace them with plus signs. Okay, so we have a minus 4x squared minus 2x minus 3. And now you can combine like terms. So we have 5x cubed. There's no other x cubes, so that will come down. We have x squareds. We have a negative 7x squared minus 4x squared. So a negative 7 minus 4 would be a negative 11x squared. Next would be we have x's. We have a plus 3x and a minus 2x. A plus 3 and a minus 2 would make a plus 1x. So just plus x. And then finally we have a minus 3. Okay, let's take a look at number 7. Here we have a vertical format. This could be a little challenging. What you want to do is when you see the minus here, because you're subtracting, distribute that minus into this second row and turn it into an addition problem. Okay, so the first row stays the same. So you'll have negative 8r squared g minus 3rg squared plus 5rg. It's the second row you want to make sure you distribute the minus sign. Okay, you turn it into a plus problem. Okay, so we're going to say plus. So a negative of a negative, that changes that to a positive 11 r squared g. This minus would turn into a plus. So plus 14 r g squared. And a minus of this minus would be a plus. So plus 6rg. Okay, now we just add it vertically. So negative 8 plus 11, that would be a positive 3. So 3r squared g. Negative 3 plus 14, that would be a positive 11. So plus 11r g squared. And a plus 5 and a plus 6 would be a plus 11rg. Okay, let's take a look at number 8. Use the product rule to simplify the expression. Write your answer in exponential form. Okay, so the product rule here is anytime we multiply two binomials, we will multiply the coefficients together, and then we multiply the x's. But remember, we did the product rule for multiplying with exponents. We add the exponents, right? So it's a combination of the two rules. So negative 3 you'll multiply with 9. So negative 3 times 9 would be negative 27. And then you have x to the 6th times x to the 5th. Remember, x to the 6th times x to the 5th, we use the addition property, right? It would be x to the 6 plus 5, which is x to the 11. So negative 27, x to the 11 will be the final answer. Okay, the power rules for exponents. Okay, so whenever you have parentheses with coefficients, variables, you're going to basically distribute this outside power to each of the inside. So when we have the 3x to the 4th, the 4 will go to the 3 and it'll go to the x. Think about it this way. You have whatever's inside here, you're going to be multiplying it by itself, and there'll be 4 of them. Right? So you'll have 3x times 3x times 3x times 3x. Okay. Or the other way to do it is what I was trying to say earlier. Just distribute the 4 to each of the coefficients and variables. So you'll have 3 to the 4th times x to the 4th. Simplify 3 to the 4th, which is 81. So 81 x to the 4th. Okay, use the rules of exponents to simplify the expression. Okay, so we have power to a power rule here. So what we'll do is we'll figure out what each of these are going to end up becoming. When we have power to a power, we multiply the powers, right? So for this first one, we multiply the 2 times the 4, so we get x to the 8th. Okay, for the second half, we have the 5 times 3, so we have x to the 15th. We have multiplication going on, and so when we finish this off, we're going to use the addition property when we multiply exponents. So you have x to the 8 plus 15, which is equal to x to the 23. Okay, let's take a look at the next page. Use the power rules for exponents to simplify the expression. Okay, so like how we were doing earlier, we have an outside power. This is going to go to the -2. This will go to the 2 on the x, and this will go to the 4 on the y. Okay, so we basically have -2 to the 5th. And then the 5 with the 2, it will multiply. So you'll have 2 times 5, so x to the 10th. And the 5 times 4, that would be y to the 20th. Just one thing left to do, simplify the -2 to the 5th. -2 to the 5th would be -32. So -32, x to the 10th, y to the 20th. Okay, 12. Similar idea, now it's in a fraction form. So this 3 will go to the 3, it'll go to the 5, it'll go to the 6, and it'll also go to the 8. Okay, so you're going to end up with 3 to the 3rd, and then multiply the 3 with the 5, so w to the 15. Multiply the 3 with the 6, so x to the 3 times 6 is 18. And multiply the 3 with the 8, so z to the 24th. Okay, last thing to do is to simplify the 3 to the 3rd. 3 to the 3rd is 27. So 27, w to the 15, x to the 18, over z to the 24th. Okay, 13. We have a distributive property here. Okay, distributive property, find the product of the monomial and the polynomial. You're basically going to multiply the 6x to the 3rd times each term on the inside of the parentheses. Yeah, so you have 3 multiplications going on. So when you do 6 times 9, that's 54. X cubed times x squared, you're going to add the exponents there, so x to the 5th. Positive times negative, so put a minus. 6 times 7. 6 times 7 is 42. X to the 3rd times x. Remember, the x has a 1 attached to it, even though it's invisible. So add those. So x to the 4th. And then 6x to the 3rd times 8. 6 times 8 is 48. X to the 3rd. Okay, 14. The length and width of the rectangle differ by 30 millimeters. Find the area. So what you're doing with this rectangle is basically you're doing length times width. Right? Length times width. So that's really your rectangular model. Okay? So remember, area of a rectangle is length times width. Okay, length times width. So the area of the rectangle in terms of C, you would say is going to be C times C plus 30. Just take the length and multiply by the width. So what you could do here is distribute the C. C times C is C squared, and then C times 30 would be 30C. Okay, the expression 3x minus 1 squared is equal to which of the following? Okay, so the trick to this problem is to, because this something in here is being squared, remember that there's two of these. So we're going to write this thing twice. 3x minus 1 times 3x minus 1. Okay, so now we're going to FOIL this. Right? So when we FOIL, we'll say 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. Negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. And negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Okay, combine the like terms in the middle. Negative 3x minus 3x will be a negative 6x. Okay, so that's going to be choice C. Okay, 16 and 17, we have another FOIL, a couple FOIL problems. So the first thing for 16, 3x times 5x. 3 times 5 is 15. X times x is x squared. 3x times 5 will be 3 times 5, that's 15x. Then we're going to switch over to the negative 6. Negative 6 times 5x will be negative 30x. Negative 6 times 5 would be negative 30. Combine like terms in the middle. We have a plus 15 and a minus 30. So that's going to give us 15x squared minus 15x minus 30. Okay, let's take a look at 17. Okay, I'm going to do FOIL again. 3t times 3t would be 9t squared. 3t times 6 would be 18t. Switch over to negative 6. Negative 6 times 3t would be negative 18t. Negative 6 times positive 6 will be a negative 36. Combine like terms. Notice you have a plus 18t and a minus 18t. They are opposites. They will cancel. And so you'll be left with 9t squared minus 36. Okay, distributive property to find the product. Okay, so the rule here is pretty simple. What we will do is, first we're going to multiply this big parentheses with the y. So y will multiply everything. And then once we're done with that, then we're going to switch gears and multiply everything with negative 4. Okay, so first multiply with the y. So we have y times negative 5y squared. So that would be negative 5y cubed. Y times 5y would be plus 5y squared. Y times 1 would be y. Okay, next let's switch gears to negative 4. So negative 4 will distribute to each of these. Okay, so negative 4 times negative 5y squared, that's going to give you negative times negative is positive. 4 times 5 is 20. Now look where I'm writing the 20y squared. Okay, I'm doing that so I could line up the y squareds. It'll make it easier to combine like terms at the end. Okay. Negative 4 times 5y, that would be negative 20y. And negative 4 times 1 would be negative 4. Okay, now just add these vertically. So you have negative 5y cubed. Plus 5 and a positive 20, that would be a plus 25y squared. A plus 1y and a minus 20, that would be a minus 19y minus 4. So this will be the final answer. Okay, 19, we kind of did a problem like this earlier. Just remember to write this twice. So you have 3x plus 2 times 3x plus 2. And just do a FOIL. 3x times 3x, 9x squared, 3x times 2, plus 6x. 2 times 3x is plus 6x. And 2 times 2 is plus 4. Okay, combine like terms in the middle, plus 6x and plus 6x. So final answer, 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. Okay, and then we have a simple division problem. Okay, so what I would suggest is to write each of the top terms divided by negative 8x to the 5th, like this. So just separate it all out. 40x to the 9th divided by negative 8x to the 5th. Okay, then we have minus 48x to the 7th over negative 8x to the 5th. And then plus 24x to the 5th over negative 8x to the 5th. Okay, so now what you're going to do is use your division, right? Divide between the numbers and then subtract between the exponents. Okay, so you have 40 divided by negative 8, that's going to be negative 5. And then x to the 9th divided by x to the 5th, subtract 9 minus 5, so that'll be x to the 4th. Okay. In the middle, you have a negative divided by a negative, so the sign will be positive. 48 divided by 8 is 6. And then x to the 7th divided by x to the 5th, subtract the 7 minus 5, so you have x to the 2nd. And then the last term, you have a positive divided by a negative, so this is going to be a negative. 24 divided by 8 is 3. And then x to the 5th divided by x to the 5th, well, they will just cancel each other out. So you're just left with negative 5x to the 4th plus 6x squared minus 3. Okay, well, I hope you guys were able to follow all this. If you have any questions, just email me. And you know, any questions at all, just email me. So you should be able to work on the post test, and we'll have the mastery check the following week. Okay, have a good day.